We've got lots of breaking news to get to this morning, and we will start in the United States because Donald Trump has just announced JD Vance to be his running mate for the presidential ticket. Annalise Nielsen joins us live now from the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. Annalise, the Ohio senator, will be Donald Trump's vice president if he wins the election.
That is exactly what's going to happen. This announcement was made right before the official announcement was expected here at the RNC, but we have been told definitively that JD Vance will be on the ticket with Donald Trump. He posted on Truth Social, after lengthy deliberation and thought, and considering the tremendous talents of many others, I have decided that the person best suited to assume the position of Vice President of the United States is Senator JD Vance of the great state of Ohio. JD honourably served our country in the Marine Corps, graduated from Ohio State University in 2 years, summa cum laude, and is a Yale Law School graduate, where he was editor of the Yale Law Journal and president of the Yale Law Veterans Association. He's also the author of Hillbilly Elegy, about his rise from poverty to the highest of offices, being in the US Senate. So this is finally putting to end a long-running discussion around who Donald Trump was going to pick. It was understood that he really only made that decision today, but quickly knocked out Marco Rubio from Florida and Doug Burgum from North Dakota, the governor there. One of the last in the race was Tim Scott, the senator from South Carolina. He's a long-time devoted follower of Donald Trump, and it was considered that he was in very good standing, but potentially some of his more stronger views on being pro-life was seen as potentially unnecessarily alienating, especially suburban women coming into this election. With JD Vance, there was also the advantage, we're told from the Trump perspective, that he thought JD Vance was an excellent debater and a very good performer in that arena. And you have to remember, there is going to be a vice presidential debate, or at least it's on the calendar, so he'll be up against Kamala Harris. He wanted someone who could go in and really swing a few punches in that forum. So that was a big deciding factor, we're told, in this decision coming to this point in time. So we don't have any formal confirmation of Donald Trump appearing this evening just yet. We hear there's movements at his hotel where he's staying with his Secret Service detail, and he might come here to join JD Vance on stage for that formal announcement. But what's happening behind me now is this roll call of different delegations from every state coming and putting forward their vote for Donald Trump to be the nominee for the Republican Party for this ticket. So
the Republicans are in Milwaukee today, unified behind Donald Trump, and frankly, with all the choices he has for vice president, will be unified behind anybody that he brings up as a vice presidential candidate. I really believe that. So we are really in a place historically that is amazing.
This is an extraordinary convention by any historic measure. Donald Trump will be coming with the fresh wound of surviving an assassination attempt to meet his loyal supporters. The energy in the room is incredibly high already for those. There's been chants of fight, fight, fight. And one of the victories he's coming into this with is having his classified documents case dismissed in Florida. The judge has said that there wasn't constitutional standing for this special prosecutor to be appointed in the first place and has dismissed it altogether. This is remarkable. This was the most serious case against Donald Trump with the most serious potential penalties, and the implications there. Now he's free and clear for this election. And if you look at where the other legal challenges against him stand, we've got Georgia really just on the brink of falling apart in itself. We've got the DC case really hobbled by the developments there. And so right now, the only legal hurdle we're waiting is to see if Donald Trump receives a custodial sentence for his conviction in New York. And so far, we've seen that those conviction penalties, the felonies, haven't hurt him in the polls in the states that matter. And if anything, embolden his supporters, who are already now feeling all the more willing to support him after the assassination attempt. They're feeling it's under attack. So to have that come at this point in time, there's any chance that he'll actually see a boost in the polls if he does receive some kind of home detention or any of the other prospects we're looking at.
Hey, Annalise, for those who aren't avid political watchers as we are, can you just describe the theatre that's going on behind you at the moment, what it all means, what's happening?
Look, these conventions are now a hallmark of the political calendar in the United States. It's where the rank and file members come together to endorse their candidate after voting for them in their state-level caucuses and primaries. And this was really part of the democratization of the parties that happened after the Vietnam War. There was the huge protests at the DNC in Chicago in 1968, protesting conscription in the Vietnam War. And the thought was that they needed to stop having the candidates picked by powerful figures in shadowy rooms behind closed doors. They wanted the rank and file to come together to pick their candidate. So they were emboldened to go out on the campaign trail, support their candidate, and feel like that they were really being represented by a truly democratic pick. So this is what happens over these 4 days. There's a theme for each day. People talk about what matters to them in their corner of America. They come together and have that formal vote. But the interesting thing is this is a theatre for Donald Trump because he has all the endorsements. He's got every delegate here because Nikki Haley released her last few pledged delegates so there'd be a completely unified front. There is a process called an open convention where if there isn't a clear winner, all that happens on the floor. So the people behind me, if it wasn't clear, would be doing deals between delegations saying, I'm not going to support so-and-so if you don't support so-and-so, that kind of back and forth. Who are we really going to pick? There has to be a majority vote. And that might well happen at the Democrat convention if Joe Biden steps aside. OK, yeah, just for our viewers, it just happened before we went on air that the RNC basically officially nominated Donald Trump to be the party's presidential pick. And we've got this moment from Florida where we saw Donald Trump's kids, Eric, Don Jr., they were all there to announce the delegates that Annalise was talking about there for the state of Florida. And that's what led to this over-the-top moment, which basically confirmed it for Donald Trump. So before we go back to Annalise, let's just play this.
Madam Secretary and everybody in this great city, on behalf of our entire family, and on behalf of the 125 delegates in the unbelievable state of Florida, we hereby nominate every single one of them for the greatest president that's ever lived, and that's Donald J. Trump, hereby declaring him the Republican nominee for President of the United States of America.
Came the confirmation, then Kool and the gang with Celebrate erupted after that, and it was all done, Annalise. So what happens now? Just state by state by state, they go through it.
They do, and there's speaker platforms as well. And this is a really big opportunity for any up-and-comers in the party to get on that national stage in front of all the influential party members. Remember, all of these state-level delegations, these are the really influential future in politics. It was at the DNC that Barack Obama first really captured attention as a potential presidential nominee because he was such a good speaker and he enraptured the audience and really came onto the national stage after that. That's what every single person coming here to speak hopes to have. Every single one of those VP contenders was slated to speak, making it all the more exciting about who could potentially be on the ticket as we looked at all this. And so what we're watching for in this is who the up-and-comers are in the party, and it solidifies what the focus of the party is going to be. We know Donald Trump always picks his own policies. He's not going to be swayed by any interest groups. There's been a lot of talk about Project 2025 from the Heritage Foundation. It is a very influential right-wing think tank, but they laid out this blueprint based on what they wanted to achieve with their people. They don't know if Trump's going to really go for their people, let alone let them run their own race. And usually it's you have to fit in with the president's agenda, not the other way around. So that's become a real focal point for left-wing media especially, has been talking at length about Project 2025. But I wouldn't get too hung up on that for anyone watching from the sidelines. I would say this is where you can kind of see what the actual grassroots movement says that Donald Trump would be receptive to and be listening for. I think that's the thing to watch.